possibly the least stable setup I've ever had. And I feel like that's saying something. But we're gonna try and get through this. This week has not been kind to my body. So I really thought I would record this earlier this month, and then this past weekend, when I thought I would originally record it, just did not go to plan. I started a new medication for my respiratory reaction that I have sometimes, and I thought I was just kind of depressed about it. But looking back, I'm pretty sure I was having side effects over the weekend, and then Monday the side effects got really bad. So came off of that. That is a no for me. And just, I feel like my body is playing catch up and just not feeling good, and it's not been an amazing week, but I really, really wanted to talk about yarn and knitting things. So we're here. This is the May yarn wrap up. So let's get into things. Finished objects. This is it. I finished a sock. This is the Smog sock, the left sock by Claire Ellen, and I am super into it. It's got this cool scale texture. It's got this dragon tail motif that goes up it. It's got this inset of like pearl stitches. And then I added the ribbed colored cuff. This pattern is like a single color. That's the way it's written. I wanted the dwarves to be represented, so this is one stripe for each dwarf and their hood. So this just needs ends woven in. I have crafted the toe. That was my May finished object. Now it's really half of a finished object because I have 2 feet, so I do need a pair of socks, or I want a pair of socks. We can mix and match, but the goal is a pair of socks. So this is really only half the story, but it is all that I finished in May. May, if you watch my travel vlog, you will see that we took a trip, which at the very beginning of the year, I thought was going to be the plan, that we would take a trip in May. So I didn't plan a lot of knitting for May. And then I got really sad because the state of the world, and we decided we weren't going anywhere international, and the time was running out. And I was just like, I don't think we're gonna go anywhere in May. And then we did. So when I was in the headspace of we're not going anywhere in May, I added knitting to my May list because I was like, why not? Might as well use the time. So because we ended up going on our trip, and I did road trip knit, but not like massive oodles, because we were driving through national forest, national park, and I wanted to also enjoy the scenery. So I finished a sock. I took my willow wisp with me, and those were the 2 projects I took. So I worked on those 2 things in the car. I kind of honed in on the sock at some point and left the willow wisp alone. So really we didn't do much in May. I was also working on the filigree cami, and I thought that would be a much less time-consuming project. It's camisole. But for some reason, the lace, you knit 2 lace panels for the back first, like flat, and then you do the rest of the garment and the construction and the whatnot. And I was on the first lace panel, and my goal is to knit this entire thing in May. I'm nowhere close. And for some reason, knitting those lace panels was just like, I recently started playing Pokopia. One should have looked up how to say this first. The game with the Pokemon that is newer. There is like this mud stuff that you can clean up at some point, and running through it slows you down. And like you're still making progress, and it's the kind of slow that you're like, huh, am I moving slower? And that's what this lace panel felt like to me. I was like, huh, why is this taking so long? It feels like I'm making progress, and yet this is still many numbers of repeats away from where I need to finish. So those three things, the sock, the Will-O-Wisp, the filigree cami, are all coming with me into June. I decided that rather than be, perhaps sensible, and push the June projects down the line and say, we're gonna finish the May projects first. I was like, no. I want my June projects. I want to play with that yarn. I'm excited about it. So I'm going to do all the things. And somehow squish them into the same amount of time. Caveats to this, when I did make that original plan, I seriously thought that David was going to be traveling again this month. And at this moment, that has not come to fruition. So I thought I was going to have sad alone, non-partnered time in my life for a significant portion of this month. And that is not actually happening, which is great and awesome. But that was part of why I was like, just pile on the knitting. Just give it all. We'll just do it all. We'll be sad and covered in yarn, which will be less sad. Instead, I am still like a mad person trying to see if I can track towards these goals, but like it just may not happen. So the second sock is here. Essentially what I have done on this sock is the leg up to the point where I start the leg chart. So that diamond of like pearl stitches is gonna start coming into this sock. This is the right hand sock. I am what I would consider to be caught up on this sock and where I wanted it to be. The kicker to that is that on Saturday maybe? I think it was Saturday. I started to work on this sock in the morning over our coffee. And I was all excited because I was like, I'm on row 38 and it's 39 rows, and then I start the chart. And then I realized there is this band of twisted, like knit through the back, so a twisted stitch, 2 stitches, bordered by 2 purl stitches. So there's these special 4 stitches, and the rest of the entire leg is this like wrapped scale pattern. In my fugue state of all the horrible things that have happened over the last several weeks since we've been back from our vacation, work is just like this disaster of its own that's happening over there. And it's been a really, really personally hard time for what is turning out to be more than one reason, but at that point was pretty much like one reason. And I guess in my fugue state of like dealing with that, I had omitted those 4 textured stitches since row 3. And the way that the wrapping of the stitches works and had intercepted where those should be, I attempted to drop down and fix it, and then I realized that the bars of the wrapping that I had previously done were going to be impossible to get rid of unless I just frogged it back. So I did. I dropped the whole thing off my needles, I frogged it back to row 3, I re-picked it up and lost 36 rows of knitting, which was really sad, and an entire week of working on this during meetings. So we are now back to where we have done row 39. We're ready to start the chart. If I can do like 10 rows on this a day, then I will still get through like the heel by the end of this week, which would put me on track with this project and the grand June list of things to wrap up. So we'll see. I'm hopeful. The main yarn is Explorer Knits and Fibers in Denali Sock in the colorway Butterfly Effect, and I'm really, really, really pleased with that as my Smog Dragon inspired colorway. Okay, so we've talked about them already. Let me pull them out. This is the Will-O-Wisp. And I am knitting this on the Woolberry Fiber Co. Berry Linen base. It's kind of hard to show because I've like pinned my straps to keep them from getting crazy stuck on things, and it's not done in an order that makes very much sense, I think. So anyway, there it is. I just finished row 22 of a 24 row lace chart. So I'm about to finish the first repeat of the lace chart, and you do 2 repeats of the lace chart plus another 8 rows. If I can do another 4 rows on this today, then I'm caught up and I'm on track. We'll see. These rows take a long time and I have to somewhat concentrate. I think it's like 20 stitches or so that the repeat happens across, so it's not a huge chunk, and I have stitch markers in for every chart repeat so that I don't get lost as easily, so that one's not so hard to handle. The filigree cami, my goal is just to finish the lace panels this month and then try to squeeze in doing the rest of the camisole construction in July. So right now I have 1 full lace panel. So for my size, this is 7 repeats of the chart. And it's like lace and like cable situations. It's really pretty. It definitely needs to be blocked because this is not the shape that it would end up being. But again, this is on Woolberry Fiber Co., who has just stopped doing yarn and had her whole farewell pre-order and last little shop update, so no longer around. But this is the Berry Linen on the color Longbourn, and I have my, now we're stuck on all the things. This is my second lace panel, and I've done 2 of the chart repeats. I'm doing this only on the weekends, so I'm doing 1 chart repeat on Saturday, 1 chart repeat on Sunday, and I am technically 1 chart repeat behind of like that equaling it being done in June. But even if it was almost done in June, I have July 3rd and 4th off of work. They are holidays for us, so holy cow. That David brought me back from his last work trip. That's my favorite. David is my favorite, but also the cow is my favorite. So there is hope for like that project, even if I don't catch up that like 1 repeat that I'm off. Okay, and then things that I cast on in June, because I said, I'm just doing it. I don't care what anyone says. I can do what I want. So we're back on the Dying Wishes Yarn Co. Tour 2026, where I have so much yarn from 2024-2025 from Sarah, and I am knitting it like all this year. So I started a slanty stripes tank in the Gemini fade. So I am pulling from like opposite ends of the fade essentially so that I get contrasting colors for the slants. And it's gonna like kind of show up in this lighting, kind of not. But you can see where the slants are. This is Intarsia, and I'm not 100% confident that I'm doing it super well, but I really like how the slanty stripes are working out and how the main color 100-gram skein is like playing with those. So I'm really pleased with this project and using a fade in a way that is not a fade, because I don't know, y'all, like, is everybody just like way more into fades than I am? Maybe. I like a fade, but I don't want everything I own to be a fade. I don't know. So I just keep putting my fades in like different orders and playing around with them and doing whatever. So this, I need to do one more stripe today, and if I do, then I'm on track. Also, this is my very cute yarn hedgehog yarn bowl, which I brought back with me when I relocated back to the US from the Netherlands. And that is one thing I love. He does not get a ton of use because my projects are usually too big and they don't fit. Like, socks are like my take somewhere project, so like I'm not usually like sitting, I don't know. He needs more love. But when I do a project in the bath, the hedgehog usually is part of the experience. Okay, so that's the Gemini fade, which is, Sarah was doing 7 minis and then the main 100-gram skein. So I've figured out how the colors will play with each other and work, so we have an even number of color stripes, whatnot, the whatevers. I'm just following what was in the pattern designer, like how they did their stripes, because you can do whatever ratio of color to other color in each stripe. You can change the slant of every stripe however you want, and I was like, do not have brain space for that. Like the way the pattern looks, am just going to follow this. However, I didn't remember that I went down to a size 1 on this pattern. Contextually, I have found that in almost every, in almost every sweatery top sort of pattern, I land as the second size, the second adult size. Some of this is because I do not enjoy copious amounts of ease in my garments. It is a future goal to make some more oversized things, but I think I've talked about this before. I really prefer something with less ease. This pavo blouse that I'm wearing is probably like maximum amount of ease that I want, and like, there's my body. It's not a lot, right? Like, it feels good. Stands away from my skin a little bit. It's just hopefully more of a, I would say summer, but I live in Georgia where it's insanely hot, and this is still a wool. So maybe not summer, maybe more like spring, fall top, but it's working today, and I'm excited because I did block it. Where was I going? Oh, less ease. So I went down in the slanty stripes to a size 1, but my brain didn't really remember this. So when I was jotting down like 54%, this color means X number of stitches, I was using the size 2 stitch numbers. So my first couple stripes aren't actually true to the designer's pattern ratios, but like, they're close enough that I do not care. They're like 4 stitches different. It's not that big of a deal. And then I was using 108, which I don't know where that number came from, because the size 1 has 112 stitches, and I do actually have the correct number of stitches on my needles. So I don't know why I pulled 108 out of my mind. I should really check if that's the size 1 for the hipster top, because that's the other thing that I'm working on simultaneously. They're both knit flat, and I may have confused the stitch count number, even though on the hipster I'm doing a size 2. It was just some mind-bending things that happened. So the stripes ended up like a little bit like differently lined up for the first couple, but now I am doing the math based on 112 stitches and we're counting correctly. So from here on out, they'll be to the pattern ratios exactly. Otherwise they're within a few stitches, and it really doesn't matter because it's flexible. And I'm not worried about how much of each of these minis I'm using up because I don't have a secondary project that needs all of the yardage like I do with my Narnia minis. But I think I will like end up putting them together in fade order for like a pair of socks or like something else fun with whatever leftovers happen. So those are my Gemini plans. I'm almost to the point where this is the front. The whole thing is knit flat. I'm almost to the point on the front where we start doing the shaping to get like a neckline and shoulders. You knit bottom up on this. And it turns out that like all of my June projects are stripes. Even the sock that I'm carrying over has stripes, although I knit those stripes in May. It's kind of weird. It's all stripes, it's all stockinette. Like my texture is all stuff I carried over from May. But c'est la vie, at least I have May projects, so I'm not getting super bored. And it's fun to play with colors. So as mentioned, I am knitting the Hipster Top by Joji Locatelli. And I have almost gotten to the place where the fronts join. This shows up so nice on camera. Okay, so these are the Summer in Narnia colors from the Through the Wardrobe 2024 Advent. And I am using those as what in the pattern is the contrast color stripe. So the pattern is really shown with just 2 colors. I'm using 6 colors for the contrast stripes, and then I have also Through the Wardrobe Yarn Co. From Selena's Bridgerton collection. This is I Curl For You, which I could not resist the name. It was too good. And it happens to go with these colors, I think, really well. There are 2 colors of the Narnia Summer that the stripes can get a little lost. But frankly, I don't care. It does visually something interesting. It doesn't read as like stripey in person. It comes across a lot more like defined, the stripes here on the camera, which is very interesting. But like this color, you almost get like a double stripe, like a double thickness stripe effect on a couple of these. And then there's some real like higher contrast. The first color, the 6th color, and kind of this 3rd color, this more turquoisey blue, tend to be a little more defined. But I'm super excited for this. I think the shoulder detailing stitch is really cool and will be even cooler when it's blocked. And I'm working on that. At the moment, I am caught up on this one. It's one that I'm working on during the weekdays. That's kind of how I'm splitting up this massive number of projects and trying to get them all like wrapped up in June. Is I have a selection of them that I will work on the weekdays and then put those aside, and on the weekends focus on other ones. The sock is one that I need to work on the weekends, especially after going backwards. The filigree is a weekend project, and the slanty stripes I need to work on over the weekend. Yeah, it's interesting. Hipster and slanty stripes are both knit on the same size needles with the same size yarn. But for some reason, I feel like slanty stripes is going to take me longer to do. And then I have to seam it all up at the end. Yeah, so I don't know. That'll be interesting. Maybe it'll start like moving like really fast and I'll be like, grand, this is also done sooner. But filigree is like a weekend only project, as I mentioned. Will-O-Wisp, if I can do like 2 rounds a day during the weekdays, then I'll stay on track with that. So it's kind of like 3 and 3. even though I have 5 projects. I did not pull out my anthology throw. I probably should have. I did knit on it some. It's been in my work in progress Wednesday photos, but it's kind of like, with this many projects going on, the likelihood that I will touch it is little to none. No, that's a June thing. I can't show that. Never mind. I was like, I did something else. No, that is for June. We're in June. Okay. Yeah. The other thing that I'm trying to get through is I realize I have accumulated what is like an entire tote bag worth of finished objects that need to have ends woven in and to be blocked. I'm wearing one example of them. So this started when I finished like my Paul Klee and my Shifty, and by the time I finished them, it was already so hot because March has felt like May and May has felt like March here. Like it's like they flip-flopped places, and April was just kind of normal. And now we're in June and we're getting still poured on rain like it's spring. And like weird cooling spells, and it's just odd. But March was like 80, 90 degrees and drought. So by the time I finished those sweaters, it was far too hot to wear them. Like, even though they're fingering weight sweaters, there's multiple strands of yarn in certain places, especially in the Shifty. I was like, it's too warm. I want to move on to other things. I'm excited about trying linen. I've never knit with linen yarn before. I'm excited about trying tank tops, like camisole knits. Like, I've never done that. Like, let's do that. So I set them aside with the intention of weaving in the ends, you know, on a holiday weekend or whatever. And then it was like I finished my March like t-shirts, or April, whatever, my April knits. So I have the Pavo blouse, I have the Adriata tank top, I have the Aster tee. So now I've got like 5. None of them have the ends woven in except when I was doing it as I knit, which is great, but I still have to go through and like verify that all of them got woven in. I didn't forget one, trim things up, and do the blocking. So I sketched it out. If I do one a weekend, then I will catch up by the end of this month. So I'm wearing my Pavo blouse out of Dying Wishes Yarn Co., A Trap for Heffalumps. And my Adriata was blocked last weekend, so I should go unpin it, like it's dry by now. And then we're gonna do the Aster tee, which is another Dying Wishes Yarn Co. Finished object in Winnie the Pooh colorways. And then we'll move on to the sweaters. Like, I wanted to get the t-shirts out in case there's any chance I can wear them. At least I could wear them to film. And I did take this on a very brief outing to the farmer's market 2 blocks away from our house the other day. And then I was like, it's so humid, but like, I don't want to get it all like sweaty and gross. And also I was feeling horrible, so I came home and put on like really loungy clothes. But yeah, those are the June like knitting, making, finishing plans. Acquisitions. We only have one. So my Plies and Hellhounds Wheel of the Year color for Beltane came in, and I love it. It's so good. There's like little teeny tiny spots of blue in there, which I think is so fun. But it's like this corally, orangey, reddy, fiery. It's scrumptious. I like it a lot. So thus far, this is what the color palette is looking like. I don't know if I'm going to end up using them all together. I don't know if I'm going to end up using them separately and then together. I don't know. I'm going to have to see the rest of the 8 before I decide, I feel like. But very excited. I love a Wheel of the Year reference. And so that is my only acquisition. But really, that's my yarn wrap up for May. I'm going to go rest my body, because it is very sad. And this is probably about as much as it wanted to do. And I'm going to go knit some more. So I hope that my little corner of the knitting YouTube world brings someone some joy and happiness like so many other people have brought me. And at the very least, like, I enjoy it, so we're gonna keep doing it on that kind of vibe and see how much of this I accomplish in the next what is basically 3 weeks at this point. So I'll see you all in June. In July or June. Yeah.
Are you helping? You helping? Yeah? It's too hot for you. You're not gonna be able to stay very long. But here are tomatoes, sunflowers, nasturtiums. There's some carrots in this bed. Yeah. Oh, basil. It is very large. And my cinnamon basil over here is growing too. Sunflowers in the back. Yeah. Here we go. So this is exciting. Some of my seedlings that I planted out are already blooming. That's really fun. Yay. Okay, I thought I would show you what I did in the Victorian Gothic garden. So planted out all of my seeds and topped up with river rocks so that things can't dig up the bits. So we have hollyhocks and violas here. We have a cardinal basil. We have bachelor's buttons, violas, snapdragons, another viola. And then we have the big centerpiece, which has amaranth, coleus, bachelor's buttons, scabiosa, poppies, the other cardinal basil, and that's about it. My cast iron turtle. That plate is like a little insect bird drinky spot. There's just no water in it right now. Those are irises. I'm not sure they'll ever bloom. Then we have wormwood, salpiglossis. I don't really know how to say that one. More violas, more scabiosa, more snapdragons, lots of violas. Almost everything I started from seed except the irises, the wormwood. Yeah, that's it this year. Last year I did a lot more bought plants. I have to do cleanup out here, but yeah, got all the seedlings in the ground, or containers. Okay, welcome to the roof garden. I'm going to quickly show you what we've done. So I have planted the lobelia and the honeywort in the citrus planters. Gave the strawberries a marigold friend. There's 3 citrus planters. They each got a lobelia and a honeywort. And then this is my 4th terracotta that's been standing empty. I want an olive tree, but for now, this is all of my seeds that I've started, with the exception of the citronella geranium, which was purchased. We have milkweed, we have nigella, we have flax, and we have the other lobelia, and then an anti-mosquito incense stick in the middle. So we'll see how all of these bits do.